I'd been driving for hours. The stretch between Seattle and Salt Lake City was immense. To break it up, I rented a cheap spot to crash. This place was in Idaho, right at my halfway mark. The listing said it was remote, which I didn't mind. It was just a bed for the night. My GPS guided me off the main road as dusk settled. The turn was onto a narrow, unpaved lane, barely visible. No street lights, no signs, just a path carved into the dense, shadowy trees. I inched my car forward for what felt like forever until the cabin came into view. And it was wrong. The listing described a small, one-room hut. This was a large, two-story lodge. I parked out front, the forest around me alive with the sounds of night creatures. I walked to the front door, hand raised to knock, and it swung inward before I could touch it. A man stood there, beaming at me. "Oh, sorry, didn't mean to startle you." His voice was high, too cheerful. I stumbled back, my heart hammering. He introduced himself as Glenn, the host. I was confused until he gestured inside and said, "Your private suite is just down here." A cold dread washed over me. This wasn't a whole cabin rental. I was renting a room inside his home. I was certain the ad never mentioned shared space, but in my exhaustion, I rationalized it. Maybe I'd misread. The photos had only shown an interior bedroom. It made a terrible kind of sense. I followed him in. The corridor was long and strangely dark, no overhead lights at all. He led me to the very last door. Glenn handed me 2 keys, one for the main house, one for this room, flashed that same wide, empty grin, and said, "Make yourself at home," before leaving me alone. I shut the door and dropped my bag. Staying in an isolated lodge with a stranger set every nerve on edge. But it was a registered rental. It had to be safe, right? I was only here to sleep. I'd be gone at dawn. I began unpacking my toiletries. Minutes later, a knock rattled the door. I flinched. I'd heard no footsteps approach. I opened it a crack. Glenn's fixed smile was there, more unsettling up close. His friendly tone felt painted on. He asked if the room was okay. I gave a quick, polite, "It's perfect," hoping to end the chat. He nodded. "Just shout if you need a thing." I closed the door and waited, ear pressed to the wood. An unnerving silence lingered. Finally, I heard his steps retreat. I turned the lock. My instinct screamed that this man was performing, and poorly. After half an hour listening to muffled TV sounds from elsewhere in the house, I decided to shower. The bathroom was dated, the tub stained. The shower curtain was semi-opaque. I started the water. A minute in, a soft thud came from the bedroom. I stopped, holding my breath. Through the foggy curtain, I thought I saw a shape shift in the room. I yanked the curtain back. Nothing. I finished in a panic. Stepping out, I froze. The bedroom door, which I had locked, was now open a few inches. My blood ran cold. Someone had opened a locked door. I rushed over, slammed it shut, and re-locked it. This was beyond strange. This was a violation. The thought of Glenn entering silently while I was vulnerable made my skin crawl. I grabbed my phone and checked the rental app. The 3 5-star reviews now looked generic, robotic, and I saw my error wasn't an error. The listing explicitly promised an entire private cabin. Nothing was adding up. Or rather, everything was adding up to a very bad conclusion. I needed to leave, now. I shoved my things into my bag and crept to the door, listening. The TV still hummed from the living room, but then a new sound, a low, wet, rhythmic noise, like ragged breathing, and it wasn't coming from the hall. It was inside the room with me. My eyes darted to the closet. I didn't wait. I threw the bedroom door open and sprinted. I blew past the empty living room, out the front door, and into my car. I sped down that dark lane like the devil was chasing me. Once on the highway, I called the police. The report went nowhere. My word against his. His unnerving behavior wasn't a crime. He only faced consequences for the misleading listing, which was taken down. The final chilling detail? His name wasn't even Glenn. I never saw the ad reappear, but I still wonder what was in that closet and what would have happened if I'd stayed to find out.
This next story isn't about a rental mistake. It's about finding something that wasn't supposed to be found. A few winters back, I'd booked a secluded cabin for a digital detox. It was a great price given the off-season timing. The first thing I noticed upon arriving was the absolute quiet. It was a hollow, profound silence that emphasized my total solitude. The cabin itself was fine, cozy as pictured. The first night was peaceful. I read by the fire and slept soundly. In the morning, I noticed a hand-drawn trail map by the door. The owner described it as a gentle walking loop. Boredom led me to explore. The trail was overgrown, barely there, and halfway through, I found a split in the path. A second trail branched off, unmarked on the map. My curiosity won. After a short walk, I pushed through a thicket and found it. Another cabin. This one was a ruin, decaying into the forest floor. It looked abandoned for 50 years. An uncanny feeling pulled me closer. I peered inside the empty doorway. Rot and damp filled the air. Everything was coated in dust, except a line of faint, recent-looking scuffs on the floorboards. Footprints. As that registered, movement flickered in the corner of my vision. A doorway led to a pitch-black room, and in that darkness, something shifted. I didn't think. I just ran back to my rental, my heart pounding. I locked the door, trying to calm down. Maybe another hiker had found it. To ease my mind, I texted the owner. I described the old cabin I'd discovered. His reply was a single jarring line. There are no other structures on that land. I was stunned. He was denying its existence. That gaslighting response terrified me more than the cabin itself. As night fell, I'd almost convinced myself I'd overreacted. I had dinner, a drink, and settled by the fireplace. Then, around 11 p.m., that primal dread surged back for no reason. I shot up from the couch. I looked out the window. The woods were preternaturally still. Then, a crunch of leaves, right outside. Steps approached the cabin. They climbed onto the porch and stopped at the front door. Silence. In a panic, I texted the owner. "Someone is outside the cabin right now. Is that you?" Instantly, I heard a phone notification chime from the other side of the door. The owner was standing out there. Why? Why wasn't he answering? My fear spiked. I called 911. The minutes until the police arrived were agony, knowing he was right there, key in hand, choosing not to enter. When they came, I showed them the texts. They went to his registered address. He wasn't home. They eventually spoke to him. He denied everything. With no evidence, the case died. I never learned what was in that derelict cabin or why he was outside my door that night. Some paths are better left untraveled. My final story comes from a man who owned his cabin. He'd lived there, alone, for 8 peaceful years. One morning, on a stroll through his own woods, he found a campsite, a cold fire pit, flattened grass for a tent. It was mere hundreds of feet from his back porch. The camper had a clear view of his home. This felt intentional. He found no other traces. Days passed normally. Then, on a Saturday night, he saw an orange glow from the trees, a campfire relit. He marched over, intending to politely tell the stranger to leave. The site was empty. A tent stood there, fire burning, but no person. The realization hit him. They saw him coming and hid. He felt exposed, watched from the dark tree line. He hurried back toward his cabin and stopped dead. His front door was wide open. All the lights inside were off. The camper had used the fire as a distraction to get inside his home. Now he was locked out, his phone and keys inside. He edged toward the doorway, peered into the darkness, and called out, "Who's in there?" No answer. He had to get his car keys from a table near the kitchen. He crept in. As he grabbed the keys, he saw a man's shape standing motionless in the dark kitchen corner, just watching. He bolted. Heavy footsteps pounded behind him. He slammed the front door, sprinted to his car, and fumbled with the ignition. The man wrenched the passenger door open just as the engine roared to life. He slammed the gas and peeled away. He drove straight to the police. Officers rushed to his cabin. They reported back something horrifying. The intruder had tried to burn it down. He'd stacked the fireplace with a massive pile of wood, creating an inferno that nearly spread. Only the quick response saved it. The campsite was ashes. The man was gone. The owner never spent another night there. The investigation found nothing. He'll never know how long he was stalked or what the end goal was. Some silences in the woods aren't peaceful. They're predatory. If these stories got under your skin, do us a favor and like this video. It helps the channel Thrilling Nightmares grow so we can keep bringing you these chilling tales. And let us know in the comments which of these 3 cabins would terrify you the most.